It is Discovery Monday. We have a new tool called Studio. Their landing page is really nice. I really like the color scheme. I really like the animation. It is from the landing page competitor to Webflow, Framer, Web Studio. The design is interesting. They have a lot of features that other no-code platforms should take, like the form, blocks, but technically their blocks editor, the way that you build things or add content to the page is better than some other no code. I've been designing software for the past 14 years. I have some sort of experience when it comes to these types of apps. We are trying to do and understand how these works, how a new user that is coming in for the first time is taking in the information. It's not priority favoritism to any apps. If something is bad, I will say it's bad. If something is good, I will say it's good. Let's dive in. First view, what do we see? What do we understand? We start with an onboarding that asks me what type of user I am. That's good. I have the language on the top right, which is either English or Japanese. Right now, I'm an individual. Let's start designing. That's a neat loading. That's a long loading. Got that. It seems we have an onboarding tutorial that is not skippable. That will ensure that any new user will know exactly what they can do and how they can do it. They bring me directly into the interface by showcasing small overlaid animation of what I'm supposed to do. Let's explore the interface. We have the name of the project on the top left, the responsive current device preview at the middle, some zoom, profile, live preview. We have multiple pages. We have things on the sides. I'm guessing these handles are to resize the Canva. I have my tutorials at the bottom and some tools on the side. Let's do what they say. I'm to take an image and drag it in the box. And now I'm supposed to resize the image along the pink dots. Next step. Now that I know how to add an image, they tell me change the image and apply filter on it. Let's see. Double click the image and now we are on Unsplash. They want me to use whatever image. Hovering an image that is already loaded on the sidebar is immediately loaded on the image itself. I can see how it looks directly. That is great. Instead of just scrolling and having to click on an image to load it, it's really snappy feature, at least in my eyes. Now that we have the image selected, we have settings at the top: brightness, contrast, saturation, grayscale, sepia, then blur, position, repeat, and in CSS, whatever. We're supposed to have the brightness at 40%. The onboarding with the highlight of the section you need to click on is pretty cool. Everything is immediate. I love that. Now we are supposed to add a text box and change its colors and size. Take a text, bring it in the middle, change the size to 64. That's from the tutorial. Change the color from black to white, and I can either do that or click here, which is already defined. White. I appreciate the speed at which it's doing things. I'm tempted to try a Command D to see if duplicate exists, which it does. Set the margin top at 20. If I'm here, I'm gonna take the margin of error when you are trying to pinpoint which things you are trying to get and change. Might be a bit complicated, but that might also be because I'm in the tutorial section. Let's continue designing on that specific thing. That button is really looking like it's disabled and they don't want me to click on that. Now that we have something, I know where my tools are. I know how they behave most of the time. I'm missing some information from the tutorial, but I have a good base. The things that I'm missing right now are the layer list, which is usually around here. I'm also missing the properties of the thing that I'm selected, like the inspector. We have the main properties right here for my div, but let's say I wanted to select the image itself. I need to double click on it. This is basically what I was just asking for. I have my box, which will give me information that looks CSS related. I have my tag and my ID, which I'm guessing the ID would be used later. I have a link if this thing is, and I can have features for accessibility as in area, label, screen reader accessibility. I just have 1 day of history, which I don't really mind. I never really use history unless I fucked up and I need to go back 3 days. But when that happens, I usually pay for a license anyway. Labels are accessibility labels. Some of the ARIA labels would be, this is an input field for your email, the label for the input field for your password. It's really useful and necessary for accessibility. Looking at this one, I noticed that we have left one of the arrows, which I'm guessing will will probably give me access to the thing that I was talking about, which is the layers. But I'm also looking at these, which is layers. That's the icon for layers, and that's the icon for pages. If I'm checking for layers, I'm guessing if I click on that, it opened that panel, which contains pages, layers, style. That is the box that I wanted to check out. Okay, this is great. This is extremely close to one of the tools that I have designed in 2015. A client was requesting a builder. It was an email client. They needed some sort of things that help anyone build an email that be readable on any email client. You have your blocks and you can just drag and drop the thing that you need wherever you need them, including forms. Forms are really useful, and that's a thing that we don't really have in Framer. You have inputs and selects and checkboxes that you can just drop and have right there and be good. This is really useful, really fast. You have sections. This is really similar to Framer that has pre-made sections. If I know that I will have navigation at the top, I will just use that because it's already pre-built. Contact, pricing, forms, footer, video background, icons, which are material icons or font awesome icons, components, which I have not created any, CMS, which is the CMS collection. If you have a blog, if you have a store, you have an RSS feed that you can plug in to get data. The API gives me the ability to plug other tools API inside of here to gather data. My title is coming from Notion, my cover is coming from Micro CMS, my image that is coming from Airtable. You could plug any of your sub database content from any other tools API. This is really interesting from a designer point of view, but also from making sure that the client doesn't pay too much. If you had one account on Enter that hosts your images, one account on Notion that just hosts your text content, that is free as well, one account on Shopify that hosts all of your items to sell, you can then just navigate and plug different APIs through that tool. Going back to the layers though, because I've seen things that I don't really know what it means or what it is. We have a setting page for the layers, but it opens the pages. This is the settings for the website as a global thing. We have the title of the website, description, fav icon, social covers, the image. No index. This page will not be shown in the search results. Language, if you have different language, custom code that is on the paid plan, structured data, markup, you can import that. Layers have labels, which I could compare them to classes. The thing that I like is the fact that they are still named with HTML component base markup. An input is called an input, paragraph or P makes sense. A div is a div. It's not a box like we've seen on other tools. Like for example, Web Studio last week, any div was called a box. Technically, it's the same thing, but if your team is used to work with HTML and CSS, having the name that are identical to what they have seen all their life makes more sense. You have cursor, which I don't know what that is. You have animation, which by the way, animation is plugged with Lottie. If you have knowledge of Lottie animation, you can easily plug a Lottie animation directly through that. But from you have a simple toolbar on the left, gives you everything to build your website. The simplicity is good. I don't really like the fact that the ad is hidden far away. I wish there was a way to lock that sidebar and get my website to take the available space, like reframe just when if I'm locking it, because right now it's just like going on top of. Oh, that's the OG image preview. If I define that, it gives me that. Cool. These lines are the representation of your break. I like the transition a lot. It shows me the state while the responsiveness happened. I want to click on the live preview for some reason. It's a URL rather than preview in the Canva. When we click on play, if you click on that link, you will access this preview. Let's change the color to red. It's immediate. However, the font doesn't go through. Let's just reload. The font doesn't go through. The font hasn't been set, maybe? The font has been set. That, once again, knowing me, that might be one of my extension that just doesn't let things go through. We had the same issue with Stony at some point of font not going through as expected, but let's see. I do want to see if I load a new font, enter, for example, does it then unused. I love this live preview. Now it's loaded. I wanna get that spacing thingy. My main complaint right now is the fact that the handles for things are a bit complicated to grab on. Once I have a padding or has been set, it's fine. But if I don't, it's these tiny dots that are close to the edge. Maybe it's just because I'm not zoomed in enough. Let's see if we could quickly remove everything that we can. I want to see if we can create a basic website. Let's have a section of send with 750, 20 is fine. This box is going to have an image. That image is going to take percent, right? I think it needs to be the parent thing. If my section is in, can I put the box in flex? No, apparently I can't. We have an arrow on the left side, and that for the image. Okay, and I wish I could define sizes as in min width, min height, min max. Maybe I can, and I can't see it. Let's add an image. Let's have a gradient. Now that we have this, I want to have an effect of grayscale 1. I saw conditional style at the top right. Now on hover, I want my grayscale to be, meaning that while hovering, or when I arrive here, I should have that transition. This is pretty cool. Page 1, which is home. This is gonna be projects and plans. We may need a fourth one. Commend works, FAQ, and that's about it. I wish I could have the sizes in percent. I'm thinking about what we can do in Framer. The thing that I saw earlier here with the icon is the fact that the cursor behavior is defined here as a check. That way I know that if I have a cursor dependent behavior, I will have a mark right there. That if you place an element in a section, you have predefined positions that will just make it align center, top left, top middle. You don't have to really think about it. If you know approximately where it needs to be located, you can do that. Let me see if I can have a button. That button is gonna be multiplied by 4. The top padding is 0. In that section, it will be centered. I said 4 buttons. I can shift multi select for 4, and that section, let's change the background to pure. Let's check the layers, and I can't really resize things. Hidden position, set index, blending mode, filter. No, that's what we want. It is set to be auto, but then the background is not what I'm supposed to see. The section is spanning 100% when I make it auto. This is frustrating. Want to create a component. Yes, create component. Command J. I want to edit my main component. Just double click the thing. I want to know if I can have my text to be a property. I can create a property for the text. Social name, whatever. Send. What did you try to do? I don't like the fact that this is spanning through. I really want it to not span through. It doesn't work. Like, it doesn't pick it up as a thing. I need this thing to grasp itself, and apparently it doesn't really want to. That's the size that I'm supposed to have, which is the same as auto. Have a div inside of this that has a padding of 4 around everything. My fill to be black, my radius to be 96. You can't do that. It's not gonna work. I feel like my div right here is supposed to be in there rather than this. My section disappeared. I will rename that. Can I rename that? That's my tag. It's not my name. Let's just change the name with social links. Caps are not allowed for IDs. Good. Position is gonna be absolute, and it's gonna stay at the bottom. Nombre? What the fuck did I just say? It's not gonna work. Alignment? No. Like, position, where would that be though? Here, technically. On other platforms it would be here, but for some reason, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I can get that in the center of my screen. Doesn't seem to be an option. Not really good. Not really good. And the -20 though is pretty useful. This one is. That needs to be fixed. Let's check the preview for a second. These don't work because of the font issue on my computer. That's normal for me. We know about that. I'm becoming a dev now. Let me clear that and just make sure that this thing has the full blown thing. We can have a text shadow. We have presets for text shadow. The preview is cute as fuck. They have a good visualization of things. I like that. They do have a bit of an issue with the way they are handling cursor out. If you move too fast, you lose access. I double clicked on the component. I moved to a space where the UI is becoming darker. I'm guessing it's because I'm now editing a component, but there is no hint other than I want these to be, I want to center this thing. Can I do a negative margin? At least it's centered. On hover, I want to change my fill color. I need to check the layers. On, I want you to be lighter. On focus, maybe it will be a border. And on press, we're gonna go pure black, darker type situation. Try focus. Does that work? It does. That's good. CS gives you the ability to type a shortened version of your Xcode if it's a repeating Xcode. F05 is my regular color, and I could type F55. I can also type F0 or F05. Press enter. It will apply to everything. If I type just F, it will be white, and my black being usually 1B, 1B, 1. If you just type 1B and you press enter, it's going to be the same thing. That's neat. Yeah, we have animation. Maybe it's because I don't have a link. The studio is really good. It has a dark mode. It's pretty intuitive overall. There are some things that I wish I could do, and I found workaround to make them work. But overall, there is chances for this tool to take over many other platforms in replacing. I could technically replace Framer with Studio without really thinking about it too much. There's a bit of a glitch in the middle, but that's fine. But yeah, no, overall really nice. There are some things that just behave weirdly, and I wish I understood better. I'm comparing it to Framer. Without having to create a secondary version of the component itself, I can just go into mobile, modify my main component to get the new specs and new properties to make sure that it works. That's pretty cool. I think my main complaint is the fact that some things that I'm used to see in some location, because of the UI switch, like the behavior of having panels rather than sidebar, and I'm missing like alignments, I'm missing other things, but they are displayed inside of the elements, and I don't really know how they work fast. That's the thing. The other thing is you display flex as an option, but I can't touch the flex for some reason. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me. But then again, maybe I can only have flex on divs, not on sections. I'm really lacking the layers. The layer list on your side helps you to go faster. You can just select something really quickly, know exactly where it needs to be, what it needs to contain, and navigate through that. If the overall UI of Figma was like this, I would probably have an issue. Other than that, it's good. As I said in the beginning, it's competitor-ish to Framer, Webflow, Web Studio, Codelo, all of these things. The behavior is similar to what I'm used to, but it's still lacking some of the things that I'm used to in other tools. When I moved from Figma to Framer as my main builder, like I'm not really building website directly in Figma, I'm just going straight into Framer and designing in there because it's easier and I have my constraint in mind. I had to readapt to the hotkeys, the behaviors. Like, for example, you can't have a gradient on a border in Framer, but you can do that in Figma. In order to do that, you need to relearn a new tool. And I feel like this is close to what I'm used to. That's pretty cool. I like Studio. I'll see if I can redo my entire this in there. It's a good start overall, but this is going to be a bit trickier. I will probably require to have some sort of a component for this entire thing.